What's up, everybody? Welcome back to Common Sense, the podcast. Happy to have you all here joining us today. And for the first time, we officially have a three-peater for episode 88. So I think that makes him like one of the 88s. Like, I mean,
dude, I feel good about this. I'm super excited to be here.
Yeah.
Last two were awesome. Let's do it again.
Yeah. So you guys give Alex Shaw a warm welcome. Dude, what's up, man?
Not too much, man. Just been living life, doing lots of things. Still lots of things whiskey related, as you and I both know. Recently took on the presidency of a whiskey club, so
Nice.
That's kind of fun. That's new. That's different. It's been, it's been fun. Anytime you try and organize a bunch of alcoholics / whiskey enthusiasts, it's kind of like wrestling cats together and trying to get them.
You got to be getting good at it, though. Like, that's kind of like a pattern for you.
It is a bit of a pattern, for sure. I've also been doing a ton of professional networking as well, which is maybe a conversation for later. But, dude, the whiskey club stuff has been fun. It was the club is called Plano Whiskey Society. If you guys are in Plano, come let me know if you want to come hang out. And, we were kind of spinning wheels a little bit. The previous president had a whole lot going on, and it just made it difficult for him to be able to spend a lot of time needed to, try and herd cats, as often we find ourselves being. But it's been good. One of the things we did was create like a monthly bottle share as like our foundational member event, and then focusing on once a month going and doing things like going to the whiskey blendery and doing a group blend, taking a bus up to Iron Root and doing a behind-the-scenes tour there, and things like that. And it's just really nice to be able to connect not only with other whiskey drinkers, but also industry people as well. So that's one thing that I've done a ton more of in the last 6 months, is really connecting with people who actually market and distill and bottle and sell. And it just gives you a deeper appreciation for the product that kind of brings us all together.
Yeah, because I think last time you were on here, you were just finishing your like bourbon stewardship or something.
Yeah, my executive bourbon stewardship. So that was a lot of fun. I learned a lot through that. That certification led to my kind of whiskey tasting side gig, which has been so much fun. Just being able to highlight, differences between different types of whiskeys. Every tasting I do is blind. So no one knows what they're drinking, they just know the lineup. So one of the things I do very often is a battle of the grains. So we'll have a corn whiskey or bourbon, we will have a rye whiskey, we'll have an American single malt, and we'll have a wheat whiskey, all from the same distillery. So what's cool about that, thank you, sir.
Thanks, sir.
Someone's just giving me a drink, which is always welcome.
Cheers, brother.
Cheers. What's so great about that is that away from label bias, away from, being told what to taste, you can come to your own conclusions.
Yeah.
And that to me has been really fun. Like, once you get into the whiskey game and you've tried all the allocated stuff and you've tried the really expensive stuff, for me, the next natural progression is, how do I really refine my palate? How do I learn the nuances, the differences between the different spirits in the glass? To me, blind tasting is the best way to do it. 100%.
I agree. It's fun to go down the different roads. I mean, I'm happy to see you progressing and doing something differently that is, not the typical path, but, another lane to go down, because I just got so burnt out of all that stuff, man. I mean, I used to be in every damn bourbon group. There was known to man in DFW. And even several out of state. And I got so there's so much drama and bullshit in the majority of it. And it's like, short of about one or two groups, man, like, I just got tired, man. I was burnt out. I couldn't take any more of like hearing about the drama or so-and-so's this and that. And it's like, man, like, I'm done. Like, I do stuff with the locals. That's about it. Mm-hmm. And, so many of these other groups have, like, come and gone or changed up and all that stuff. And it's not even about the picks, really, anymore. Because, I mean, like, it's so funny. Like, almost all of them in the same Metroplex, it comes down to your networking abilities and who you have relationships with. They're all getting sent the same shit
Same
to
batch of
try.
barrels. Yes.
And whoever gets first pick gets the best pick, if that's your palate. And, I mean, so much of it, I mean, like, you can find another good bottle of X on the shelf.
Absolutely.
I mean, like, so, do you really want a tater sticker that bad on your bottle?
Yeah.
I mean, I don't know. I mean, I got caught up in it so bad early on that it was just like the natural progression, and it was like, I don't know anymore.
Yeah. Dude, I think we reached a saturation point late last year where even the giant clubs, right, like 10,000 member clubs, weren't selling out barrels. And when the big clubs aren't selling out barrels, you know that there's a oversupply or an under demand problem.
Yeah.
That was actually something. So I saw that happening last year. And when I took over the presidency for Plano Whiskey Society, I wanted to get so far away from barrel picks being the main driver of the club. Like, it couldn't come fast enough. So that's when, like, I took that piece of knowledge and stashed it. And I was like, I want to make a club about in-person events.
Yeah.
And that, to me, I think now what we're seeing in, like, the Bourbon group marketplace is that your clubs kind of fit a certain type of person, and it's less about the picks, as you said.
Yeah.
It's much more about, can I find my people within the Bourbon group?
Absolutely.
So you've mentioned, like, the locals are your people. And,
Yeah.
like, I think they're a great bunch of guys as well. I know and like a lot of them. And I think, Someone Say Whiskey has their vibe.
Yeah.
Bourbon Real Talk, they are focused around a podcast, and, Randy has his vibe of his
Absolutely.
group. And it's great, but it's like, if that's for you, then that's amazing. Go do that. But it doesn't have to be for everyone. There's DFW Whiskey Club is, still primarily a pick group, and, they carry the prestige of being one of the older ones. Dallas Bourbon Club is a membership group where you have to,
Good luck.
Good luck, exactly. And I focused, Plano Whiskey Society on in-person stuff, way less on picks. And I think now we're starting to see if you don't have something unique about your group, it kind of dies. Like any kind of sophistication of a marketplace, if you just picking whiskey is no longer enough to bring people into a group. You have to have a good core group of people. You have to have something different.
I think that's where the locals started out too. That was just guys during COVID having lunch together at places that had amazing whiskeys.
Yep.
I mean, that really was it. I can remember the early days. There was 10, 20 people max that would show up. And I mean, they keep the numbers small and stuff in there so that it's not like they're not trying to be a 10,000 member powerhouse stuff. It's impossible to keep that many people happy, and I think that's where a lot of the drama and bullshit starts too. If you have a barrel that you pick, even if you are doing a pick, and say it's like your once a year pick, you got a really good barrel and maybe it has 300 bottles, but what if it's a short barrel and only has 160? By the time you give it to your admins and stuff like that, and people that are promised stuff is part of the deal process, you're left with 100 bottles to give out. Well, if you even have 200 members, you're going to have 100 people pissed off.
Definitely.
Especially the greater the barrel is and the more people you have, it's going to be a problem. And you watch every one of these groups deal with it. And I mean, they have lotteries, and if you support this charity thing they're doing or that, it's cool. I mean, a lot of them run really good things. The Blendery is an amazing place. We're hoping to have him on here soon. We just haven't been able to work schedules. Thursday's not a good day for him. But I mean, Ryan Wester and This Is the Way. I mean, they do amazing stuff. Their Angel Tree this year, man, I don't want to exaggerate the number, but I mean, last year they did a really big number, in my opinion, for a smaller group.
It was 5 figures, right? If I remember correctly.
Yeah, last year was last year I want to say it was $15,000 to $20,000 they raised, which is no small amount.
Not at all.
Just from donations and raffles and stuff like that. But this year, I want to say they crossed over $40,000.
Dang, I didn't see that.
It was between $30,000 and $40,000, man. I was like, holy shit! They
They crushed it.
They really crushed it. And I mean, like, seeing stuff like that's cool. I mean, like, I think it's a great way to network, enjoy something as a hobby that you're passionate about. I mean, there's a lot of good that can come with it. I personally got a little burnt out, and I have too much damn bourbon. Like, and the bourbon market sucks now. So, like, selling bourbon,
impossible.
Whew, it blows.
You have to give it away, or you have to pay people to take it. And if it's not a Buffalo Trace product, or if it's not limited release, no one wants it even at cost. So it becomes a challenge. And I think we went through the cycle of everything got hyped, everyone bought a lot of whiskey, and now we're on the other side of it. And candidly, that's one of the reasons I made my tasting business, is so that, you know, because often you buy whiskey to build up points, or you buy whiskey to build up good favor. Well, my tasting business was a way to, you know, partially bring education and enjoyment and a different experience, which I think is unique in the way I do it with blending, with blind tastings. Partly it's so I could use up some of my whiskey. Because you build up a stash really, really quickly, and it's a challenge to, you know, tell your wife that you don't have a problem when there are hundreds of bottles staring at her every day. So,
well, you haven't been, like, putting it on. I mean, you look exactly the same as the last time I saw you. And it's been a while since I've seen you.
It's been
even outside of everything.
It's been at least a year, I think.
It's got to be close to a year.
Something like that. So, yeah, I mean, you know, I try and walk the walk when it comes to the whiskey weight loss stuff. I still pretty heavily drink socially, but outside of social drinking, I drink a lot less now in terms of, like, daily drinking, which is probably a good thing. Part of the reason I'm doing that is because business is really busy, and it's tough to be a really good coach for my paying clients if I am hungover all the time. You know, it's one thing to show up at an office and clock in, and, you know, you kind of grin and bear
your way
through
through the day.
But, like, when someone's needing your energy, wisdom, expertise, it's hard to show up in the best way possible for your clients when, you know, you're dealing with the effects of last night. So I still pretty heavily drink socially, but I've kind of got away from the whole daily drinking thing, which honestly, when bourbon was, you know, at its peak, I feel like not everyone, a decent chunk of people would wear their daily drinker as like a badge of honor. Like, oh, what's your daily drinker? What's your daily drinker? And I know people, myself included, that kind of felt weirdly peer pressured to drink every night so that we had something to post about. And, like, it's a really, like, not a good place to be. To be like, oh, you feel compelled that you have to have a drink each night? That's bordering really close to alcoholism. When you feel like you need to have a drink.
I mean, you're making a habit.
It's a habit.
I mean, you're making a habit. I mean, at some point. I mean, like, that's a hard thing to keep when you're trying to be disciplined in other areas. And I don't care what your cup of tea is, whether it's wine, beer, alcohol, drugs, whatever, food. If you're having trouble being disciplined in any of those, throw one of those in there, because then your judgment and caring about it really goes downhill.
Do you see more of a maturity, you think, in the bourbon crowd? Even because if you look at it, you're young, you know, we're older, but I think as I relate it to cigars and you look at alcohol, do you think people are maturing more with their approach towards the whole bourbon whiskey? It's not the whole college frat, let's get wasted all the time. Let's do it at the right time. Let's do it the right way. Let me see what my palate is approach.
I think so. I think there is a little bit of maturing and a little bit of fatigue as well. Because I think a lot of people got into bourbon and they were like, I need to try every release. I need to try every allocated product. I need to own the entire Weller vertical, all of that stuff. And then, like, they did it. Like,
and then they had 200 open bottles.
Exactly. And it's like...
I wonder whose that is.
Garrett.
I am not the only one. I can promise you that.
Not even close. So I think, like, you collect faster than you drink. Unless you have a real drinking problem, you will collect faster than you drink. So at some point, you're like, I really can't justify this club pick, this special release, whatever, when I know it's going to taste very damn similar to 60% of what I have open on the shelf.
I have that same issue. I just went through this whole thing with colognes, fragrances, and I just started, me and my wife just lately just been buying boom, boom, boom. But then I noticed I got like 4 or 5 bottles from 4 or 5 different people, and all the shit smells alike. it all starts to, there's only so many ingredients that can have a variation to when it really, and then every once in a while you'll get that unicorn that's like, damn, what is this? But now it's so few and far in between. And then what happens? It kind of becomes a fad. It's a passing thing.
It's hard to, and I've battled this a lot lately, and I'm really, really good about it now. I think even my wife would agree with me on this. Like, I don't buy a lot of bourbon anymore. Like, really hardly at all. I've been selling more than I've been buying.
Yep.
Even though mostly what I'm selling is either at cost or I'm taking a little bit of a hit, but I'm moving volume. I have no other choice. Unless I am just going to be a bourbon warehouse until the market turns around. And yes, there is certain stuff that I most certainly will sit on, and you know what? That's fine. And I'll probably never get, by the time the market switches again, I will not have drank all that bourbon, for sure. I mean, I've cut down bourbon drinking tremendously. I mean, I maybe, unless it's an odd week like this where I have a bunch of holiday corporate events and stuff like that, I probably drink twice a week.
Yeah.
Like, I'll have one or two drinks here on the podcast now, and then I pick one more night with my wife, and that's about it, man. But it gets, the FOMO is still real, and that's still a challenge because, like, you see places like the Blendery dropping, like, 15, 16-year-old Buffalo Trace turkey stuff, you know, whatever, and you're like, shit, I really want that. And, oh, man, it's $250 for that bottle. And you're like trying to still justify it. Like, you catch yourself sitting there.
It's hard to justify.
And you're looking at it, you're scrolling, you're seeing everybody, and you're like, shit, I really want it. It's the same thing like the locals. Normally, I'll buy at least one bottle most of the time just because I still like supporting what they're doing. But it's like recently they dropped a first ever like single barrel larceny weeder. And I really want it. I really like weeders. I like weeders and ryes a whole lot. And I was sitting there and I was like, man, I really want this. And it's not an expensive bottle. You know, I was like, I should go buy one or two of these. And then I like went up, looked at my bar, and I was like, how many open weeders do I have right now? Yeah. And the number was a lot. And I was like, now I haven't even opened up the cabinets or counted bottles that are like not open. I definitely don't need to buy this right now. I'm going to a locals event this weekend. I'm sure I'll get to try it. I'm sure it'll taste like a lot of other great weeders. And I'm not going to be like dying because I didn't get this one that has a really cool Grand Theft Auto sticker on it. Not going to lie.
Yep. The sticker goes a long way. So you mentioned that.
Makes it taste so much better. Have you not found that yet? We're kidding if you don't know.
The wild turkey stuff you mentioned was interesting. So for anyone who's listening to the podcast who doesn't know, Tim at the Blendery got the option to acquire a bunch of stuff that was 15, 16 years old. It was Buffalo Trace. It was Buffalo Trace distilled, and it was aged at wild turkey. And none of the big manufacturers wanted to touch it because it wasn't 100% their stuff. So at that point, he was able to sell it to groups, and all of the different groups kind of got a major, they got a barrel of this kind of unicorn juice. Yeah. And I went over to a friend's house. One of the great things about the whiskey community is that everyone is very willing to share. So I went over to a friend's house and I got to try 3 or 4 different ones. Yeah. And one of them, if I had the chance to go buy it for $250, I would. It was phenomenal. It was my palate. It was amazing. The other 3 I could leave.
Yeah.
And that's the problem. It's like, okay, well, did I want to go spend $1,000 to find the one bottle that I wanted?
Yeah.
Not really.
But everybody does that as part of the learning process.
Exactly.
Starting out. I mean, I look at mine now, and that's what makes a lot of I've made some people some amazing deals, especially on open bottles. Open bottles. Like, I won't name names, but there is a guy, he just called me. I mean, I got to get back with him again because he was like, you got another deal like that you want to make? And I'm like, well, let me go through and see. But I collected, and what I really started doing is I got tired of everybody having the same shit. And everybody was chasing all the allocated stuff. And to me, it was like, No, like there are so many young and up and coming distillers that are doing really cool things and experimenting. You know, still one of my favorites is my buddy Alan Bishop that used to be with Spirits French Lick. I mean, this guy was going to the seed bank and growing heirloom corns and trying to bring back stuff just to see what it would do. Mm-hmm. I mean, like, cool. I want to try shit like that.
Yeah, 100%.
And a lot of it was really good, and a lot of it was really bad. But try selling an open bottle of something that, like, 80% of the world has no clue what it is.
Yeah.
Or that's from a smaller distillery. It's damn near impossible. So, you know, you go through a bunch of stuff, but, you know, looking at it now, it's just such a mix of what everybody's switching to. Tequila started getting real big. You know, you're seeing absinthe is coming out and getting
It's
real
cyclical.
big again.
It's all cyclical.
Yeah,
man.
it's all cyclical, just like any other business. But, you know, you'll watch where there's certain craft drinks really become prominent everywhere, and that booms one thing or the other, or craft beer, or craft this and that. You know, it's really crazy when you really sit back and look at it over several years of being super involved in the game.
100%, 100%. And talk, like, one of the things I really like about being able to acquire all of this whiskey, and especially acquire stuff that is typically hard to find. So I mentioned earlier, like, I'm now doing a lot of professional networking, and I'm involved in a group. It's called Master Networks. It's great. Love it. If you ever want a networking group, come check it out. But one of the cool things about it is I meet people who drink whiskey but aren't into whiskey at our level. They never fell down the rabbit hole so deep that we couldn't climb it. So they're just like looking over the rabbit hole of like, oh, it's a bottle of Jack Daniels. And, well, you know, I used to drink Weller as a, 20-something. Like, I wonder what the rest of it's like. So one of the cool things I've really enjoyed is having, a bar and, 80 open bottles. People just come over and we have a networking conversation about life and business and all of that stuff, while simultaneously being able to share a bunch of stuff that they've never either heard of, or they've seen and never tried, or they've heard of and never seen. And it's cool to be able to just open up someone's palate, their experiences. One of the guys in my networking group, his unicorn bottle was Midwinter's Night Dream. And I got a call from the local specs. It's like, hey, Alex, do you want this bottle? And I'm like, honestly, no, I don't want to go spend $150 on it. I've got $150 spent elsewhere. Yeah. But I was like, hey, Chris, I know this is your unicorn. I've got it at cost. Do you want it? And he's like, yes, you're my favorite person this Christmas. Yeah. And it's like, that shit warms my heart.
Yeah, that's cool.
That's fun. And it's being able to expand the experience of bourbon without the giant money pit that it becomes. Yeah. So,
all right, Josh, what do you got here? Good question, Biz. I was 42-year-old when I learned you should sip tequila. Yeah. I did the same, Josh. That was, I love to sip tequila now. You couldn't pay me to take a shot of it, though. Like, I'm not doing that anymore. And Garrett, have you also cut down since the lounge is no longer BYOB? No, to be perfectly honest, I don't think that really had any effect on it. Yeah, it was really nice to bring some really cool bottle up here and share it with people and have that experience. You can still order stuff if you like and get stuff in your locker, as you are aware. But, I mean, short of stuff like this tonight, like me and Alex, he hadn't been here since the new side opened up, and he didn't know, and he was like, hey, should I bring us some cool bourbons? And I'm like, yeah, that would be really cool, but we can't really do that anymore. And, I have that same battle all the time of wanting to bring something up to try it, but I wouldn't want to get anybody in any trouble with that. So, I mean, in all honesty, it's been more of me getting control of my health and just trying to be more disciplined, because if I'm drinking more regularly, I make really poor decisions. I stay up too late.
Amen to that.
I eat shit I shouldn't eat. I mean, and honestly, I don't feel like it. When I'm getting up at 5 or 6 o'clock in the morning to go to the gym, I don't want to feel the least bit hungover.
Agreed.
Like Friday, I mean, it's one of the reasons I do the show on Thursday, because I do have a couple drinks, and there's been times where I've gotten completely tanked with guests, and, you know, I might go into the work a little bit later on a Friday, and I'm definitely going to the gym a little bit later, and sometimes it's in the afternoon instead of the morning, just so I can rehydrate and feel better. But well, those days are pretty far and few between now. The healthier and the better in shape I get, the less I feel like doing that, to be completely honest.
And if I can jump on that, so one of the things that I think we talked about during the whiskey weight loss process is this idea of like value added per drink. And if it's not something, we probably talked about it in different words, and I've just kind of conceptualized it better now. But I talk about this idea with current clients of value added per drink, in that how much does that next drink really enhance the experience? I would argue that this is a value-added drink, right? You're smoking cigars, we're drinking old fashions, we're having a conversation. Like this is something where if I didn't have a drink right now, I do feel like it would take away from the experience.
Right.
But if we were 5 drinks deep, is that 6th one really going to change anything? Am I going to have a better time because of that 6th drink compared to not? Probably not. Probably not.
No, and you ride that line.
Exactly. And this is where I talk about, kind of daily drinking a lot. It's like, okay, does drinking 2 whiskeys on a Tuesday evening while watching TV really enhance your life? Probably not. It's just going to make tomorrow worse. And people, I get this on Facebook, and no, I can have 2 drinks and I don't feel it. Sure, psychologically you might not feel it because you're used to it, but physiologically, it's causing a hangover. I call it like a physiological hangover. You sleep worse, you are less rested, your body craves higher calorie, more dopamine-inducing food in the morning. It's like, is that
or
really...
sugar.
Yeah, exactly. It's just like, to me, it's not worth it. So, like, drink, and if you want to...
But how many people have the discipline and the fortitude to be able to do that? I mean, like, is a few Pringles gonna wreck the fact that you've dieted really well all week long? No. But can you open a can of Pringles and only eat like 3 or 4? Or are you going to open the can and eat the entire damn can? Because that is not going to be good, and you could wipe out several days of being under your caloric intake if losing weight is your goal. Just like rewarding yourself, like Sour Patch Kids are my thing now. If I go get a handful of those, I'm staying in, like I'm not killing myself. They're so sour that like you'll make yourself feel sick if you eat a whole bunch. It's kind of hard, even if you buy the big jumbo bag, to just really go to town on it. But if you do, yeah, it's not good. It's not a reward anymore. You cross that threshold.
So one of the things I talk about with clients now that I don't know that I went into as much depth with when you and I talked about it was actually how food scientists and food manufacturers have created food that is almost impossible to put down. And there's a great book on this. If anyone wants to go read it, it's called You Can't Screw This Up. And I believe the author is Adam Bornstein. And he was the guy that was kind of the shadow marketer for a lot of Arnold Schwarzenegger's business entrepreneur, enterprises. Yeah. But one of the things he talks about is the dopamine response to food. So if you think about it, if we went back in time, we are, prehistoric humans roaming the savannah. There is no food in nature that is high in fat and carbs. Think about that for a second, and if you're listening to this, you're racking your brain trying to think of them.
There's no food
that's naturally occurring.
Naturally occurring.
Nuts are high in fat, no carbs. Meat is high in protein, some fat, no carbs. Potatoes are high in carbs, no fat. Fruit is high in carbs, no fat. There's no naturally occurring foods that is high in fat and carbs.
So you're saying it's all the processed crap that we've gone ahead and invaded and messed all that up.
Yes, and I'm getting that.
Absolutely.
So biologically, we are wired to prioritize foods that are high in carbs and fat because they are very scarce or don't exist in nature. What's something else that is very scarce in nature? Salt. So when you get a food that is high in fat, high in carbs, high in salt, and then low in protein and low in fiber, which are the things that are very satiating, what happens? We get a giant dopamine flood to the brain that is biologically wired, and then there's no real stopping point because there's no fiber and no protein.
And sugar would be the same thing. You would just substitute sugar for salt, pretty much.
You would substitute sugar for carbs, right? And the reason I say that is sugar is probably a greater effect, but you can get this with carbs as well. So think about this. Do you ever just sit at home with a spoon eating boiled potatoes?
No.
No. How many people just order a thing of French fries and demolish the entire thing? Plenty of people. What's the difference? Deep frying, the addition of fat, and the addition of salt. Right? You've taken the same ingredient. Ironically, potatoes, when they're not deep fried, are one of the best weight loss foods on the planet. One of the most satiating foods for their calories. French fries, kind of less so.
Yeah.
Right?
Just a little bit.
Just a little bit. And you haven't really, you haven't actually processed the food. What you've done is you've cut it up and you've deep fried it, which is just cooking. So is there, processing plays a role? Absolutely. But also it's this trifecta of high carb, high fat, high salt that makes it really hard. It's why I've never been able to eat only 2 slices of pizza. If I start eating pizza, I eat all of the pizza that is available to me.
Guilty. That is one of my number one. That's probably my number one thing that I have no self-control over.
And we're programmed to do it.
Pizza or Mexican food.
My kids literally eat, when we order Domino's, they get a medium pizza a piece.
Mm-hmm.
A piece.
If I go to the back 9, I will order the medium pizza, thin crust, cut in squares, and I will eat
the entire pizza.
The whole thing.
And the thing
and this medium pizza is this big around.
12-inch big pizza or 14-inch.
Yeah.
And we're so programmed for large portions here.
That's an American thing, but also
and it's like you'll get mad if you get a proper caloric serving of something, you get pissed off.
Yeah.
Because you're like, what is this? You know?
Yeah, you've been conditioned. But another thing, why does restaurant food taste so much better than food at home? It's a lot more butter, and it's a lot more salt.
Fat that they're cooking it in, the vegetable oil and stuff.
That's it. Are they more skilled at preparing food? Probably. But the vast majority of it, unless you are going to fine dining, is they just coat that shit in a lot more fat. And fat is flavor, and fat tastes good because we're biologically programmed to seek it out.
So what do you think about there's those diets where they're I can't remember if it's carnivore or one of those. You'll probably know. I'm sure you've had people bring this to you. Or the paleo where they're literally putting organic butter in their coffee.
So
they're
you've got keto, which is very low carb and high fat, right? So that's where a lot of people are putting butter in their coffee. And here's why keto works. Yeah, I get the same reaction of just physical shakes of the idea of butter and coffee. Here's why keto works, to a degree. Keto works initially because you're removing all carbohydrate sources from the diet, so your body naturally stores way less carbohydrate in your muscles, in your liver, and that causes a huge temporary weight reduction. The reason that keto works, as long as you can stick to it, is that you don't have that trifecta anymore. You've removed carbs from the equation. So now it's just fat and sometimes salt. Well, just fat and salt is not necessarily enough to cause that mindless overeating.
Yeah.
Right? Same thing when we had the low-fat diet. The low-fat diet works great if you don't ever eat fat and you only eat carbs. Japan is a great example of this. Japan is one of the lowest obesity nations in the world, and rice is a massive part of it. If carbs were really the problem, Japan would be full of obese people, and they're not. So what is the problem? It's carbs and fat and salt. When you remove one of them entirely, you don't overeat anywhere near as much. Now here's the problem. Those diets tend to be very unsustainable given the lifestyle that the majority of people in America lead. The example I use, and I use this on consultation calls all the time inside Whiskey Weight Loss, if you are on a diet and you're on a low-carb diet, whether it's keto or Atkins or whatever, and you're at your niece's birthday party, and she comes up to you and goes, Uncle Garrett, I want you to have some birthday cake. What are you going to do? You're going to be like, No, I don't want them a damn cake. And then she goes off crying and then you ruin the birthday party.
Yeah.
Or do you eat it and then feel horrible because A, you haven't had sugar in forever and now it's causing such a dopamine rush that you basically feel like a meth head. In addition to
I was going to say crackhead, but I'm glad you said meth head.
And then you've broken your diet, so now you feel the guilt shame cycle that comes into the psychology of weight loss. So like if you could sustain keto for the rest of time, it probably works because you don't overeat, which causes a calorie reduction consistently and you lose weight. Trouble is, it doesn't mesh with your lifestyle.
What about like salts? Like, cause like the staying hydrated and stuff. Like, there's a lot of salts that are like apparently really good for staying hydrated. So
this is
where's the balance on that?
That's such a good question, and I'm so glad you asked it. So salt is not inherently good or inherently bad. The problem is salt is correlated with certain behaviors. So people who put salt in their water for rehydration, typically they are doing that because they are associating it with exercise. And if you are health conscious enough to add electrolytes to your water, chances are you're making other healthy decisions in life. If you are just eating a shit ton of salt because you eat a shit ton of processed food, right? And we kind of established earlier that generally processing is a bad thing because processed food typically is higher in fat, higher in carbs, higher in salt. Then a high salt intake in that instance is correlated with unhealthy behaviors. So that's the thing, like salt, you need salt to a degree. And if you agree, but that's not where we get most of our salt. Most of our salt comes from the Cheesecake Factory salad that has 3,000 French fries, pizza, all that kind of thing. Like if you're putting salt on your broccoli because it makes it taste better, that's totally fine. If you're eating beef jerky because you like beef jerky and it's a low calorie, high protein snack and beef jerky naturally is higher in salt, like to me, that's fine, right? That is salt associated with healthy behaviors. If you get 5,000, 6,000, 10,000 milligrams of salt purely from dinner because you went to a restaurant and they're just salt baying the shit out of it, like that's more of a problem because that salt is going to be associated with very high calorie density, very high serving size food. So it's such a good question because there's so much nuance that goes into this, but people don't like nuance in weight loss. They like blanket
it's just like,
rules.
you're starting to see all these studies, and if you really start digging deep into some of this stuff like cholesterol, like not all cholesterol is bad, and it just gets thrown around so loosely that it makes you think like you need to be on all these, statins and everything else. Like, well, yeah, you probably do, and if you do, your exercise and your diet probably isn't where it should be. And you could be like me too, where even though like I've gotten my diet and my lifestyle and my health in much better check, I still have a long ways to go. But, compared to a year and a half, 2 years ago, I've made tremendous progress. And I've checked my blood work, and even at like my peak of like when I got down to 191 shortly after finishing your program, I think when I finished with you, I was somewhere between 205, 207, somewhere like that. I can't remember exactly. And then I got down to 191, but that came with learning sticking points in your body. I walked around at 205 for a really long time. 205, it didn't matter how many weeks of being really clean I did. If I was living and dying by that scale, I would have gone absolutely insane, which is one I think the best things you taught me. It definitely top three things that I learned working with you as a coach. Do not live and die by the scale. He can verify this. I asked him, can you send me my measurements from when I finished with you? Because it's the one thing I've gotten away from and I want to be able to check now.
Yeah.
And I didn't write down.
Learn through trial and error at some points. I was 169 on a Friday night and had been very clean, zero flexibility, had been kind of strict back when I was a little bit younger, a little bit dumber. And we had a house party. We had friends over, there was pizza, there was beer, there was cookies. And the trouble was I'd been so deep in the diet that that first bite of pizza gave me that dopamine rush. And I was like, holy shit, I lost all sense of moderation, self-control, anything like that. I weighed myself the next morning. I was 177. That is an 8-pound swing at 169.
In one night?
One night. Now, thankfully,
I did it on his program. I did the same thing. We had this phone call.
This exact same conversation. But thankfully, I know what I still know now, which is that doesn't happen with 100% of that being body fat. That happens with less than 10% of that being body fat. Because to gain a pound of fat, you have to overeat by 3,500 calories. There is no way in hell, and I'm going to do math really quickly, that I overate by about 26,000 calories in one night. Just doesn't happen. So what did I do the next following days? Hydrated like a mofo, ate relatively clean, didn't freak out, worked out. By the following Monday, I was 170. So I went from Friday night at 169, Saturday morning 177, 48 hours later I was back down to 170. So that's just how powerful scale swings can be with almost zero change in body fat. I probably gained a third to half a pound of body fat that night from gluttonous decision making.
Well, I want to know what you think about this too, because this is kind of like right in line with where I was going with that. So like I was checking my blood work, and yeah, even though I was doing so much better, I still couldn't get off of my cholesterol medicine, right? Like I had been off of it for like 30 days. I kind of ran out, didn't refill it, called my doctor and was like, hey, I've been off of it for 30 days. I'm doing really good. Schedule me for a lab, and I want to see where I'm at. And like, if maybe I can be off of this. She's like, okay, I'm cool with that. And she's like, but I'll have your prescription ready if you need to get back on. Might not be a good deal, but 30 days is a good amount of time. It'll be like 45 by the time you get in here. You need to fast, blah, 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 blah. Went in, took my numbers. Yep, number was still high. Like, she's like, nope, you're going to have to probably be on this the rest of your life. Like, it's just one of those things. But what I did after I quit working with you and talking to some friends, all my group of people I knew were doing the Red Mountain stuff, where it was like the Ozempic chews, basically. They were doing other things like that. And I was like, well, maybe this will get me past my sticking point. And I talked to my doctor about it. My doctor's like, I have no problem with this. I'll prescribe this to you. You can get your shot from the place down here. We'll have the compound made for you, blah, blah. It's going to cost you this much because it's not covered by insurance. And I did that for a while. What sucked about that was, yes, at that time, I had set a goal that I really wanted to be around 185 again. At 6 foot tall, 185 I felt would be really good. Well, going from like, let's just say 205 to that 191 I got to, what they don't tell you about these Ozempics and some of those type of peptides are that the other thing you lose is muscle mass. It does not just wipe out the bad body fat that you think it's going to go away. It doesn't do it. And I'm dying to hear what your opinions on this. But like, I think it's just like he was saying earlier about some of these diets. Depending on how far out of shape or how bad your health is and the amount of time you have to do it, several of these things can be good tools, but it can't be the end all be all. Like if you're needing to have surgery and you're a couple 100 pounds overweight, one of those diets is probably really good for you. If they'll let you take the Ozempic with your health, probably really good. If you're doing that stuff, you're going to get good results, and it might help you to be able to have the surgery you need. But it can't be your long-term solution, because as soon as you go off of it, if you haven't fixed these other things, habits, and gotten more disciplined, or know how to eat for that level that you're now at or back to, you're absolutely fucked. And it'll come on twice as fast and multiply faster. That's my opinion.
You summed it up incredibly well, and that Ozempic shots and stuff like that are a phenomenal tool. I've had clients use them in the Whiskey Weight Loss program, and I wholeheartedly encouraged it because they were so deep in the red in terms of their health. They just needed to be at a point where their health wasn't a risk factor of them dropping dead tomorrow.
Yeah.
So, ironically, Ozempic, I think, is, touted as a weight loss drug, and I think the people that don't need to use it often use it the most, which is that last little bit. right? The last 20 pounds, and you kind of fall into this a little bit.
Absolutely.
The people that need it the most are 350 pounds and have such a broken relationship with food that they just can't see light at the end of the tunnel.
Well, that's kind of where my doctor was like, hey, if you've been stuck here for this long, I have no problem putting you on short-term because I can see from your progress that you've made these changes.
Yes.
So, like, I'm okay if we put you on this for 1 to 3 months, whatever it takes to get you where you're happy and you want to be at that weight, then I'm cool with that. Like, I'm not going to keep you on it long term.
Right.
But, and she said, you know, you're going to have to keep up with those habits and your diet and everything else. But, like, and, you know, and honestly, like, I got there and, like, I was so unhappy and I was so miserable. Like, it definitely shrinks your stomach. Like, you will, like, even if you're eating what you should, and I think that's part of where it starts backfiring on you when you're in my position, because there's no way I could eat the amount of protein I needed to eat in a day and drink the water I needed to drink because my stomach was so restricted. Yeah. Like, I would feel like I was going to go throw up, like, every 5 minutes. Like, it was terrible at the end. It didn't do that to me right away at first, but it did afterwards. And you got to make sure you're keeping up with your fiber on something like that and everything else, because you can create a whole nother world of problems. But, like, my muscle mass went down so much that I was like, man, I am literally like 5-6 pounds away from what my goal weight was. And I hate the way my body looks. Like, I do not look like I'm more in shape than I was 11 pounds ago or whatever. I mean, like, right now I'm walking around at 225 and I couldn't be happier. Like, I'm so much closer to my goals. And that is literally, 40 pounds from what I had in my head of what I wanted to be. I mean, it's just kind of crazy, but you have to start doing those things to kind of find out. But, and again, I will tell you guys this again, like, I've had all kinds of personal trainers throughout my life. When you're dealing with something you haven't, like losing weight, like, and you could have been like me, always trying to have put on weight and to build size or strength, anything like that for sports, you need a coach like Alex. Like, it is well worth the time and money because they're going to teach you things that, like, you don't know. You may think you do, but, like, you really don't know.
Yeah, there's a lot that, and I think if I backtrack a little bit, I think at this point everyone knows that calories in, calories out is kind of how weight loss works. I think that's a well-established, well-accepted fact at this point. I even think a lot of people understand that, hey, you need to eat more protein and maybe less carbs to lose weight, which is true the majority of the time. What we don't...
Until you get to a certain percentage.
What I think we miss is a lot of the nuance within it and how it fits within a lifestyle. Because a ton of people crash diet, fad diet, or Ozempic diet down, you know, to the weight they want to get, but they have no idea how to sustain it outside of the methods that got them there, and the methods that got them there suck.
Yeah. And they're not cheap either.
No.
So, like, you can't do, I mean, like, unless you're really wealthy, you could not just stay on that, like, till the end of time.
Right. It's a challenge. But, you know, I really do believe in Ozempic for the people that just don't see light at the end of the tunnel with their weight loss. They are 300 pounds. They can't see their feet. Like, they are a walking heart attack. For those people, if they can lift weights just a little bit and take Ozempic, it gets the ball rolling, which is the hardest part.
Yeah.
Once they're down 10, 20, 30 pounds, hopefully they've engaged in the coach already. If they're smart, they'll do that and Ozempic. Sometimes that's cost prohibitive. But once there's, like, momentum there, then they start kind of buying into the idea of eating healthier. They get more energy because they're not shoveling fast food all the time. Like, you get positive spirals in terms of this behavior leads to this behavior. But for a lot of those people, if they don't have the Ozempic shot, it's hard to start that ball rolling. And that's the hardest part of a weight loss journey. It's getting started. The second part is, like, once you reach where you're comfortable, how do you sustain that? Yeah. And that, to me, is a few things. It's habits, it's systems, and it's support. If you want to keep going, right? Habits, you have to have the right, you know, kind of mental habits in place. You have to have the right systems in place as well. And when I say systems, I mean something as simple as putting your workouts on your calendar. Like, to me, that's a system. A ton of people don't do it, though. Because if you don't block it out on your calendar, you will find something else to fit that time. To me, a system is planning out
I think
your
it
meals ahead
depends
of
on
time.
what your level of discipline is.
I do.
I mean, like, I used to plan every single segment of my day, and it just got so maddening. Because that can also be a, you know, and I still battle this at times. Like, my wife would definitely back me up on this as far as I'm, like, OCD about it. But, like, then you start moving stuff to make stuff work. And then it's the brutality of beating yourself up, like, then trying to move and make things work and not, like, just pushing things to the next day and stuff. Like, those can be ugly habits, too. But a lot of what I've heard you say, and I've seen watching your program more from afar nowadays, because I still follow this stuff, is I think you've taken the program to some different levels. And one of the big things I think I've seen you focusing on, and maybe you can talk about how you're implementing this and how you help people achieve this, is how do you coach them on discipline? Because their discipline within your program has, like, multiple heads, right? Like,
it does.
You have the diet head, you have the working out, the exercise, or just healthy walking, whatever it is that's part of their program, you're trying to get them in there. And then it's the lifestyle and the what does your real world look like? So how are you tackling that? Because I've seen you making little tweaks here and there, and I think that's really key for a lot of people.
So discipline is a very big umbrella term, and it depends a little bit on the person. If the person is very goal-oriented, we set certain goals, whether it's workouts per week and it's steps per day, something like that.
Yeah.
Like, you set thresholds that goal-oriented people want to achieve and feel good when they achieve. And if they don't achieve them, then we identify why. And sometimes people just need a kick up the butt of, like, Garrett, go do your fucking steps. Like, sometimes that's what people need.
Oh, he had plenty of those with me. Like, I know I had to be one of the bigger pain in the asses because, like, again, I had a lot of coaching stuff. So, like, when I got to certain points, I'm like, Alex, I'm not fucking doing that workout. Like, we can either talk and, like, come up with something else. Like, I'm not doing this. Like, I am bored as fuck doing this. And, like, I'm not doing it. He's like, you still really need to do that. But, like, okay, you can add in doing this other thing you want to do. But I still need you to do, I don't even remember what it was. But, like, I just remember there was a couple of those exercises. And I was like, I feel like a complete jackass doing this. I was like, but it does make my lower back feel better, and my hip flexor playing golf isn't bothering me as much now, so I probably should do that really gay, boring exercise he's showing me with the bands. Like,
so yeah, there's a little bit of that. It's not all that, but there's a little bit of that. The other part is, like, I actually have a whole pillar of my program now called habit recalibration, and it's identifying something that I call friction, meaning humans in general will take the path of least resistance. Yeah. Almost always. When motivation's really high, we can take the path of high resistance. But over the course of a lifetime, we tend to take the path of least resistance. So from a lifestyle design, which is a frou-frou term, but from a lifestyle design point of view, how do we make the path of least resistance a healthy one? So it might be, from a diet point of view, if you don't keep certain shit in the house, you won't eat it. Doesn't mean you can never have it, but you probably won't eat it. For example, if I keep full-fat cheesecake in my house, I'll eat it every fucking day. I will happily tell people that. But I don't keep it out in the house, therefore I very rarely eat it. And sometimes, like, if I have a sweet tooth craving late at night, I found this freaking recipe like 3 months ago, and I've made this cheesecake so many times. But it's like Greek yogurt, liquid egg whites, stevia, and sugar-free pudding mix. You mix it up, you bake it. It's not cheesecake, but it's 90% of what cheesecake tastes like. And then you can buy the raspberry syrup that you see swirled on, like, commercially made cheesecakes. It's delicious. I ate that shit for breakfast this morning, and I will go home and I will have it again for dessert. But again, it's like, instead of muscling through the, I want something sweet, I'm just not going to have something sweet because that's what I have to do to lose weight.
Yeah.
I have something that is pretty damn good. Like, a slice is like 100 calories and 10 grams of protein. First of all, great if I'm trying to build muscle. B, it's satiating enough, it fulfills my sweet tooth, all that stuff. So my path of least resistance is still a healthy one. What I'm doing by keeping cheesecake out of the house, I'm not taking it off the menu. If there's a restaurant and they're world renowned for their cheesecake, I'm going to have cheesecake. But like, you put that barrier, you put that friction up so that it's difficult to make a bad choice. Simultaneously, if I have a sweet tooth craving, I have something already made where, okay, cool, I just go and eat the cheesecake. It like path of least resistance, as opposed to I'm not going to eat something sweet, I'm not going to eat something sweet, I'm not going to eat something sweet. It's I go and have the slice of cheesecake that tastes good and fulfills my sweet tooth. So it's for me, it's about how do I put up friction to the bad stuff? How do I reduce friction to good choices? And then how do I have goals that I'm still trying to hit? Is there a level of sometimes you just have to fucking pull up your big boy pants and make good decisions? Yes.
Absolutely.
There is an element of that, but we don't have to have David Goggins' level of self-discipline to just be in reasonably good shape.
Dude, I love his videos. Have you seen the one where the kid, like, begs him to work out with him? And he's on the stair climber. So this kid's like, I guess he, like, blows Goggins up. And he's like, I just want to train with you. I know you're the coach for me. Like, I know I can do what you do. And I need some Goggins in my life. Goggins finally said, like, all right, dude, I'm going to be at this gym. Show up. And the kid shows up, and he gets on the stair climber next to Goggins. And Goggins is just, like, barely getting going. Like, I mean, like, it's just going. Well, they start getting going. Well, this kid keeps, like, grabbing the rails. And Goggins is like, bitch, get your hands off the rails. And, you know, he just keeps swatting him. This kid's dying, man. Goggins just keep throttling. He's like, you ain't ready for this. Like, if you can't not hold the rails, don't come work out with Goggins. He's like, you know, like, I don't know, I just loved it. But yeah, it's the same thing. You know, over the Thanksgiving holiday, my mom had to make pies and brings these pies over. And yeah, for the first 2 days and while my cousins were in town, we ate a bunch of pie off and on. And as soon as they were gone, I told my wife, I was like, I'm throwing all this shit in the trash. Now, my willpower was a little stronger at the moment on the pie, but I did not throw out the gallon of Bluebell vanilla ice cream, which is still in my freezer, that really needs to go because I've ran to it twice in the last week and a half, and that just needs to go. Where normally I'm really good, I keep, like, Sour Patch Kids again are like my weakness. That is my treat that I don't feel is terribly bad, and it forces me to be moderate with it, like, because of how sugary and sour it is.
So I'm going to pause you there and commend you for making Sour Patch Kids your kind of like vice. We talked earlier about the problem childs are high in fat, high in carbs, and high in salt. Really, it's the fat and the carbs that we're talking about here. Ice cream, high in fat, high in sugar. Yeah. Sour Patch Kids, just high in sugar, right? So it's much harder to put away 1,000 calories of Sour Patch Kids.
Learn that trick from Allie Gilbert. You guys aren't following her on Instagram or whatever, I highly recommend it. She looks like the super jacked buff version of Pink. And I mean, that's like funny. Jacked version of Pink. She's got blonde mohawk. Y'all know when you find her. They call her the boner chick. She's like a leading expert in men's health.
When I found out, fruit. So when I have kids in the house. My wife keeps snacks in there. Finally, though, I think I've broken her from snacks because they're budding football players. My 16-year-old is literally built like a baby shark, and I keep telling him that, yeah, you can smash all that stuff now, but I guarantee you all the guys that are starting above you is not eating this crap. They're eating blah, 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 blah. So my grandkids came to visit over the Thanksgiving thing. My wife bought 12 boxes of cereal. Every Apple Jacks is my shit. Apple Jacks, Fruit Loops, all this other stuff. But we went to a restaurant one time and we had oatmeal, and they put strawberries, blueberries, granola, craisins, and it was so good. Now that's my go-to.
Yeah, dude, I'm a sucker.
I got a hack for you.
Oh man, but
strawberries and raspberries are my shit.
Man, blueberries.
I got a hack for you, Biz. And the shit's expensive, so it'll keep you from like over and indulging in it this way too. You're a cereal nut like I am.
But I don't do it. I do the oatmeal instead now.
Magic Spoon, and you can get the shit
it.
like
I did that. Yeah,
now.
I seen it.
They got like one that's like Fruit Loops. They got one that's like the Count Chocula. They got, I mean, you name it. They got all kinds of different ones, and they don't suck. I mean, the chocolate and the Fruit Loops one, definitely my favorite too. They don't suck. They're good. And I'll tell you two others that I keep a lot of this shit in my pantry. Quest Nutrition. Yeah. Quest has some of the best tasting and pretty good ratios. I think you even agreed with the ratios on them doing the program. Quest protein bars and cookies and stuff like that.
Yep.
They're amazing. They taste great. Like the oatmeal raisin bar and the one that's like Oreos, absolutely awesome. It'll get your fix. The other one is the owners of that spun off, and there's a new one called Legend. Legend, they have the things I've tried so far that are really good. Cookies. They have these little cookies that, I mean, they taste amazing. Like strawberry shortcake cookies. They're fucking awesome. The other one is, they got like Pop-Tarts.
The Pop-Tarts, legendary foods.
Legendary,
that's what it's called.
yeah,
Yeah,
legendary.
the Pop-Tarts are like 200 calories, 20 grams of protein.
Yeah.
Phenomenal.
They're great.
It fixes it gives you the craving.
And you can eat them cold or heat them up.
Yeah, they do that thing where if
Just
you
be
microwave
careful
them,
heating them up.
you will burn your tongue if you're not careful.
Yes, because it's got
It's one of those things.
Yeah, I don't know what it's made out of, but like it literally like don't do more than what it says, like, and just touch the crust and think like you're okay. Like it's literally like 20 seconds.
Yeah, it's like molten lava on the inside. If you
maybe
go 30
even
seconds.
15 seconds, but like I promise you better let that shit cool or you will burn this shit out of yourself.
So these are all wonderful examples of like just what we talked about, right? Lowering the barrier to good decisions. If you keep bad stuff out the house and you keep this stuff in the house, it's very unlikely that you're going to walk past the pantry, past the protein Pop-Tarts, past the Magic Spoon cereal, to get in your car, to drive to Walmart, to buy Apple Jacks, to then come home and eat it.
Yeah.
This is the perfect example of it. And like, this is what discipline looks like. Some of it, a small amount of it, is pull up your big boy pants and make a damn good decision. Most of it is just altering the path of least resistance so that you are making healthy choices most of the time, so that you can get just a little bit better over and over and over again. And the other thing that I don't think we've talked about this, but I have something that I've coined kind of anchor actions. These are behaviors which have downstream positive effects on other behaviors. Working out is a fantastic example. What happens when you work out? You tend to drink more water. What happens when you work out? You tend to be more conscious of what you're eating leading into the workout, so you don't feel like crap during the workout. You tend to be more conscious of what you eat after the workout because you don't want to work out and then eat like an asshole afterwards. Also, you tend to sleep better. When you sleep better, you tend to eat better the next day. You also tend to have more energy, so you move more. So it's an example of like a central action that has lots of other downstream positive effects. Another one would be like putting it on your calendar to go get a walk in the middle of the day. So I do this all the time. Sometimes like, shoot, dude, Wednesday, like yesterday, I had 12 coaching and consultation calls scheduled on my calendar.
Shit.
It was nuts. And I was stuck in front of my webcam and laptop the whole day. But I had a half-hour break from like 12 till 12:30. So I went, put AirPods in, and I just went and walked my neighborhood. And I felt so much better afterwards. I felt less angry. I felt less hungry. I felt less just like mad at the world. So my mood improved.
It's insane. Like, even if you don't like, I've been struggling lately with my cardio. Like, cardio is my number one goal for next year. Is just really improve my cardio. And since I got off the peptides about a little over a month ago, my cardio has dipped. And I don't know if that's totally tied to it, if a lot of it's just mentally.
Yeah.
I don't know. But like my cardio has started to suck and I've been struggling with it. So I went back to like the same thing I did with you. I don't care what you do for cardio. Like, so you're not burning as many calories doing XYZ and maybe you can't work at the pace you're working at. Go walk for 45 minutes on the treadmill. And I'll pick whatever new scenery. You know, I walked in Barcelona this morning for 45 minutes, you know,
awesome.
like, you know, whatever you can do to like keep up with it. But it's so true. Like, if you can just, and I'm sure you can throw out a number, but like, there's a certain point where if you can just stick with it long enough, and even if you don't get everything you intended to get done at the gym, as long as you go in and do some stuff, you're going to feel significantly better and sleep better and everything else. Like, I mean, like, I still take Sundays off pretty much all the time now, But I'm getting where I'm like, I'm going to go in and just do some like cardio or something even for a little bit in the morning, just because like I feel mentally and physically so much better. Like I don't got to go in there and just throw up a bunch of weight or anything like that, but like just to do something physical.
Yeah.
It doesn't matter what it is. Like, you know, just getting in there and doing it. Because when on the days that I don't, or I tell myself that like I don't feel good or I'm tired, and I let that little inner bitch get the best of me, I feel it all fucking day long. And it drives me absolutely insane. And I will tell you the other thing that I want to make sure we mention. And and Alex and I have talked about this too. Like, he's probably going to be surprised that I'm not already doing it. I still do full body workouts every day. I have not switched back to splitting body parts or doing any of that, because like that really does help. Because even if you do miss a day in the gym, you just missed that day. You don't have to beat yourself up because you missed chest or legs, because everybody's going to skip legs. Like, or that'll be the day you find your excuse, because legs suck. Even this guy will tell you, legs
100%.
suck.
100%. No one enjoys them.
You're going to do it. But if you're doing, and I don't give a shit what it is, you're kind of hitting all the body parts every day. You miss a day, okay, cool. You can make it up tomorrow. You didn't fall way behind. You don't feel like shit. Whereas if you're splitting body parts, like you explained to me early on, if you were supposed to do legs on Wednesday and you skip it, well, you're now like a week and a half of not doing legs. Actually, really at like 2 weeks.
2 weeks totally,
because the previous Wednesday's the last time you did legs. So you went 2 weeks without hitting your legs. I've gotten good results, and like I feel like it's been faster, and I have just stuck with that.
That's all. Dude, I'm so proud of you, because I know that was one thing that
we fought over this.
We fought over a little bit. And it's not that body part splits are bad. There are tons of people that make a ton of progress on it. But once you get past about 8 high-quality sets for a muscle group, you start, like, your diminishing returns is almost instant. Like, that 9th, 10th set is not doing anything. And if you have a chest day, right, well, we do flat bench, and then we do incline bench, and then we do flies, and then we do push-ups, and then we do dips, 2/3 of your workout is basically pointless at that point.
That's where I've tried to, like, so I mix them up, and I'm not good about it. Like, I've broken this habit of feeling like I had to do all this stuff. Like, I don't keep a workout journal. I'm not as concerned with, like, how many reps, how much weight, any of that shit. Like, I don't. Like, I know what kind of progress I'm making.
Sure.
You know, and I'm comfortable with that now. Now, granted, guys, this is 2 years of getting back into this.
Right.
Hardcore. I didn't do this from the beginning. But now, so like, yes, I basically, like, if I go do chest, I'm doing 4 sets, and I change my reps all the time. Like, today I might do, when I start off with whatever chest exercise I'm doing, I do 12, 10, 8, 8. Or maybe I go really lower weight and I try to do 4 sets of 15. You know, I keep my body guessing and mix it up. And I mix those things up. And maybe I mix chest and some triceps and some biceps and maybe like one back or shoulder exercise and then a couple legs. And then I'll switch the next day and I'll do like a couple shoulders and back, 1 chest thing, and then maybe 1 or 2 tries and buys, and then I move on to like maybe I do a little more legs. That way, like, I'm kind of keeping it balanced, because like you also don't want to be where it's like, I mean, I'm already in the gym for 2 hours at a time. You don't want to be there for 3. I promise you that.
Not at all.
And that starts fucking with your habit, your being able to sustain it, and everything else. So I'm trying to work on lowering rest times and stuff like that, and finding different rep sets that work for that.
So I think this brings up a good point in that, you know, you said at the beginning, like during our process, we were very consistent on tracking weight and reps and sets. And it depends on what your goal is. If you want to get the most results possible fastest, you are best tracking everything.
For sure.
Because that's just, you know, the way it goes. You have to lift more weight,
I thought
more
that,
reps,
and he did prove me wrong.
more volume. Over time, you have to give your body a greater stimulus. The trouble is that that's a lot of mental demand to do that. Tracking every single, like, I'll be honest, when I work out now, because my goal is not to get bigger, stronger, faster, I just want to maintain and feel good. I don't track my reps. I don't track my sets. I'll do very similar to what you're doing, which is I go in, I do what feels good, I do what keeps me interested, I do what keeps me engaged.
And I work out till failure.
Exactly. And like, we both of us are in a position where like, hey, I'm really happy with how I feel and how I look at the end of the day. I don't have to expend all of this mental energy to chase an extra 10% gains in the gym.
Well, and do you also find, because like I find this, like there's certain days, like I might go in feeling really good. Like I'm like pumped, ready to lift after I do my cardio. And then like I go to lift and I just don't have the strength today. Like I feel good and I'm like, fuck body, why can't I push this? Like I just did like way more weight than this. Like this was supposed to be a warm-up set. And so then I'll go, okay, body is saying like, don't push heavy weight today. So then I'll be like, all right, is this a weight that I can do? Like, can I get 15 on this? And I'll do high rep, low weight.
Yeah.
But then there's some days I throw that low weight on there and I'm like, God, man, I'm just slamming this. Maybe I'm pissed off and didn't even know it, you know? And then I'll be like, all right, let's bump up the weight. And now today I'll do a 12, 10, 8, 6 set.
Yeah.
And then I switch that. Like, do you kind of like gauge it by that too?
Yes, I'll do that more on major lifts. So things like heavy squats or like heavy pressing, stuff like that. I'll definitely do that. But I feel like you reach a point in, like we talked about maturity with whiskey earlier, you reach a maturity in the lifting process where you're so much more in tune with your body, you're able to make those adjustments on the fly and still have a very productive workout. I think when people are newer into the weight loss process, they kind of have to have that structure because they haven't listened to their body enough to know what it's saying.
True. What's up, Kenny Mitchell? Love seeing my OYT guy on here. That's awesome. So we kind of touched on this earlier, and you were talking about like American food. I want to throw that one back out there. So like, how do you feel about like this whole like RFK taking over and like cleaning all this shit up? I mean, is that exciting for you, or what are your thoughts on that?
Yeah, I mean, RFK is a polarizing figure, and we're going to put vaccines on a shelf and not really touch that because it's outside of the scope. I do think from a food standards point of view, I think there's a lot of positives that can come from it.
Yeah.
Anyone who is willing to challenge the status quo of American food and American manufacturing processes, portion sizes, just like clearly what we're doing in America right now from a food and health point of view is not working. And money clearly isn't the solution because we spend more on healthcare, more on food than pretty much any other developed nation, and we still kind of suck in terms of outcomes. So clearly change to the system is required. I'm going to be really interested to see if he can make change where others have failed because of the sheer amount of money that is behind the engines.
Yeah.
And if he can, I will be so happy.
Yeah.
Am I skeptical of if he can pull it off? Because there becomes a point where the machine is so big that you can't do anything about it. And I do worry if we are at that point. I have this debate with people, and I call it's a friendly debate. I have this conversation with people about healthcare all the time. Like, the American healthcare system sucks to the point where CEOs are being murdered in the street over it. But like, I don't think America could ever go to socialized healthcare like England has, because I think we've gone so far down this rabbit hole, I don't think we could ever come back out and try a different approach. Like, I think we're just going to be duct taping the healthcare system for the rest of time.
Yeah, but I mean, let's be honest too, like, because I have family that lives over there, and like, I think there's probably something in between that's better for all, but like, because that shit sucks too, because like, I've known people over there that have needed a surgery, and I don't know, they waited a year before they could have it because of that kind of thing.
I'm not saying it's a perfect system.
And even though they have like added other supplemental insurances and stuff, and it still is shit. And that's why a lot of foreigners travel to the U.S. and other places to have surgeries and get other health care on their own dime. So I think there's a lot of like back and forth that could happen there, but I am excited to see what he can and can't do. 100%. We're having a good friend of mine. It'll be in, I think, February is what we decided, sometime after his art show. But we're going to have Kenny from my good friend Kenny Bowers, that is the owner of all your guys' favorite Kenny's restaurants around here in DFW. Kenny's going to come sit down with us. And I really want to talk to him about portions at that, because he runs the gamut. He's got the grill, he's got the Italian place, he's got the pizza place, and he's got the burger place. And, you know, since I've gone on this, like, and it just kind of like, I don't want to, has she said anything on here yet? No, I don't see my mom on here, so I can say this. It drives me nuts that for the longest time, my mom always wants to share. And to me, that is like, it used to just drive me absolutely crazy. Like, hey, and she asked my wife, like, hey, what are you thinking about ordering? Like, do you want to split something? Because my stepdad doesn't eat shit. Like, this guy is a meat and potato guy, will not eat a vegetable to save his life, right? And just drive me nuts. But like, the more I go on this journey and stuff, it's like, and you're looking at some of these places, and I don't care if it's fine dining or not, like, most time, like, the portions are so stupid and of the wrong things. Like, if you want the proper size portion of protein, well, now you're getting like 2 times all the other shit that you don't really want, unless it's a real high-end restaurant where you can really kind of pair and all the sides are separate and stuff like that. I get that. But like, so many places, it's like, all right, like, I would rather have like, and I like places to give you like, you can get the half portion of this pasta, right? And then I can like still get the salmon or the filet mignon, and I can get like a 6-ounce filet. I didn't have to get the dinner size pasta. And it's like, they bring you a pasta bowl, like, that whole ashtray is like the half portion. Yeah. Like, are you kidding me? Like, I could eat that for 2 days. But if you sit here and put it in front of me, I have a hard time still, even this day. It's hard to tell your brain no and to stop. And like, it's like, are you going to ask for a to-go container? Like, right? I mean, that's a trick, and it does work. It does work. Do it. That like, can I have a to-go container? And you just like, go ahead and put it over there and put it to the side, out of sight, out of mind. I mean, you can do those things, but like, I wonder, like, and people would probably pay about the same, but I mean, I'm sure there's others that would bitch and moan, like, I paid $40 for this steak and it's 8 ounces. Yeah. Well, shit, man, how many ounces did you want to eat in one meal? Right. You know, like, is this a day that you're trying to get multiple?
That's actually a great point. So a conversation I have with clients all the time, and it's clients who, like, I work with people all across the income spectrums, right? For some people, they have a really hard time throwing away food because they were raised poor, or they were raised to always finish their plate, myself included. Yeah. Or they have a hard time most food possible per dollar. Yeah. That's a big mental roadblock that a lot of people get into, and the way I combat that as a coach is I'll say, on the throwing food away, the question I always ask is, do you get reimbursed when you eat it? Right? Like, yeah. Do you suddenly, like, if you throw it away or if you eat it, does that change the monetary status of your wallet? No. What happens is, like, people have a hard time throwing away food that they've paid for, but they've already paid for it. It's a sunk cost. All you're doing is you're costing yourself a second time by eating a bunch of crap for a second meal. So that's how I kind of combat that from a coaching point of view. And then, like, the food per dollar thing, it's like, okay, well, if you buy this really high calorie, high serving, high calorie density meal and you eat it, eventually enough of those are going to accumulate where you have to spend money to fix the problem that meal caused. Whether it's hiring a coach, whether it's in healthcare, whether it's in quality of life, whether it's in years of your life, that cost comes somewhere. So you either pay a little bit more now, or you pay the same amount and you get slightly less food, or you eat the 2,300 calorie dinner pasta plate, and you're paying for that, A, tomorrow with how you feel, because you'll feel like shit. And then B, you're going to pay for it down the road in terms of fat accumulation, which then makes you feel worse, which then makes you greater joint, like all of these things.
Yeah.
And it's a hard one to overcome, but you do have to overcome it if you are going to be able to live a long, healthy life.
You know one of my tricks too with pizza now? I'm going to share this with you. So I have found a pizza place that I love when it's fresh and hot. But it sucks reheated. Perry's Pizza. Perry's is amazing. Hot, fresh, eat it. But as soon as it gets cold enough, doesn't reheat well to me. And I haven't tried sticking it in the air fryer or anything like that. But once it goes cold and I've ate my pizza and I walk away, I'll just leave it out so that it gets like cold on the counter and whatnot. And like my wife will save some of hers sometimes, but like usually she gets something on hers that I don't want to eat. So like I'm safe there.
Yeah.
Like not picking the black olives off and eating the black olives, like not doing that. So good. And then I take mine, throw it in the dumpster.
There you go.
And it works.
And that's it. And you kind of have to like, you have to wire your brain and your perspective a little bit to get that dopamine hit when you throw it away of like, Garrett made a good decision throwing this picture away. Like, good job, buddy. I'm proud of you. Like, and you kind of have to think that way. Like decisions like that is how you ride the balance of being healthy, being in shape, looking the way you want to look, feeling the way you want to feel, while still eating pizza now and then.
Yeah, it's true. I mean, I think the only thing, and this is funny, I like your point here, because this is one of those other ones where I see you commenting on it all the time, and like it's one of your posts, like aside from your playing with the largest balls one.
They were some big red balls.
Everybody seemed to really love that one. I was like, damn, he got some serious clickbait out of that one.
100%.
I was expecting jingle balls or jingle bells, and like I was like, no,
big red balls.
Good one, Alex. But you're like your post about 6-pack abs. You know, like, and you're a pretty big advocate of it. Like, I know what it takes to get that, and like, I don't think the risk reward is there anymore. So like, I'm content just being where I'm at. Whereas like, I'm like, God damn it, I'm about to be 45 again, and I'm getting so close. I was like, by summer, I'm going to do this. Damn it, like, come hell or high water. And spring may really suck. But like, you know, sometimes I think it's too like have that goal, but like make sure it's realistic. But like sometimes you need one of those crazy goals too.
I don't disagree. And
now, like, do I think I'm going to be able to maintain that for a really long time? But like, also once you get closer to that, and really it's the percentage of body fat down, that like now you can actually eat a lot more because you're burning so much more.
So the 6-pack ab thing is interesting because I have no issue with people setting a goal, getting a 6-pack once, taking a bunch of pictures, being happy, framing it above their bed, on their ceiling, whatever, you know, whatever you want.
And you have some weird friends.
You're one of them, dude. You're one of them. But maintaining that lifestyle requires a level of sacrifice that I just don't think is worth it. There are some people that get such a level of satisfaction from being in that shape that to them it's worth it. But that's the 0.1% of people. You're better off if you want to go and get it once. Go there, get the t-shirt. It's like Disney, right? Like you go once, you spend 10 grand, and you're like, that was amazing. I never want to do that again. Yeah. Like that's kind of the attitude I take towards it. But yeah, generally my message is like, 6-packs aren't worth it. Yeah. Like we talk about like value added, right? We talked about that with drinks earlier. Yeah. It's like realistically, how much does your life change with 6 visible abs compared to 2? All that happens is you're more hungry and you're more irritable. True. And you can take some badass photos, which again, go do it once, get the photos, and you can show your grandkids that granddad was in great shape once. Yeah. Amazing.
Jesus, but like me that old? Damn. Jesus, bro. No, you made me laugh a minute ago when you were talking about the pictures. I'm going to tell a funny story on myself just because you guys will enjoy it, and you made me think of it. So you might be too young for this, but I know you've seen these pictures for sure. Do you remember when like Schwarzenegger was winning all of his Mr. Olympians?
Yeah.
And there was like, and he did the big thing for Bally's. And you may not remember these exactly, but there was like 7 posters. And it's the 7 iconic moments from all of the 7 Mr. Olympians.
Okay.
When I got back into my workout journey in my early 20s, like I found these on like eBay. Like a guy that owned a Bally's had just boxes and boxes of these. And I got them like still in the original poster roll. I had them all framed and matted, you know, like got them all done. Well, at the time, I was living with some guys, had 2 roommates, and the only place I had was my like room, and like I put these like all around my room. Like I was working out, and like they were motivated for me, man. Like I thought Arnold was the shit, right?
Yeah.
But that was their running joke, man. They'd come in and fuck me like, you know, Arnold sees everything, right? Like, does Arnold watch you do everything? And it was always this whole like running thing. And I was like, God, I hate you guys. You made me think of that when you said about taking the pictures and hanging them all up everywhere.
Hey, man, we've all got stuff that we're not thrilled to admit happened. It's okay. It's okay. But, you know, I think that stuff works short term. Like, put a picture of you that you don't like on the fridge. It works short term. It's probably not great for your mental, like, self-esteem. But, like, it'll help you get in shape. Like, I joke with people, shame works. Shame doesn't work for a lifetime, but, like, shame works for, like, a little bit of time.
I mean, it might be enough to get your ass in gear. I mean, I know that's what started it for me before I was 40 and before COVID happened, where I had, like, my 2-year layoff. Like, literally, it was somewhere around, like, 37 or 38. And a friend of ours, we were jumping off the cliffs out at PK. And I didn't think I was that out of shape. But have somebody below on a boat, like 40 feet below you or more, with a badass camera, takes pictures, like live action pictures of you jumping off the cliffs, and watch what gravity does to your gut. You think bloating or something like that looks bad? Oh, I promise you, it's way worse. And she posted this shit like all over her like weekend trip experience from like on her like Facebook or whatever. And man, when I saw those pictures, I was like, Jesus, bro, like you
Time
really need to get after it. Like that's unacceptable. Like, and you know what? And like I got her to take those pictures down, but I also got her to send me a couple of them. And I kept a couple of those. And that's seriously, like, I had it, like, starred in my phone where I could go to that easy. And if I was feeling like making an excuse not to go, that's when I was working out with Naz, I would look at that picture and be like, yep, your ass is going to the gym again today.
I have a theory on this, and there's physiological reasons why it gets harder to lose weight the lighter you are. Basically, it involves, like, when you lose weight, your metabolism shrinks, because metabolism is a product of how much energy it takes to keep your body running. If you have less body, it requires less energy. I also think there's a massive psychological reason for this, i.e. your level of self-loathing decreases, and therefore so does your motivation. Typically, when people start a weight loss journey, and your story just made me think of this, there is typically a high level of, I'm not going to call it self-loathing, I'll call it discomfort. There is a high level of discomfort with
or embarrassment.
Yes, all of those things bundled into one.
Yeah.
It's a very pressing force of, I need to make a change because I'm embarrassed, I'm uncomfortable, I hate myself, whatever it is. And then over time, as people lose weight, rightfully, and it's a good thing, people get happier. They get more self-confident. They get more energy. And they also get more comfortable. And what's the biggest driver of change? It's being uncomfortable. So as you become more and more comfortable, you're less willing to do the really hard stuff that accelerates very rapid body composition change. And it's why, although I would never want to live their life, I have a massive amount of respect for what like physique athletes and bodybuilders do, because they've had to reach a point where they could be very content with their appearance, but they keep going to the point where it's borderline unhealthy. It's also why I think body dysmorphia is so prevalent in the bodybuilding community, because ironically, if they didn't have body dysmorphia, they probably wouldn't be as successful. And that's a horrible thing to put out there, but I think it's probably true. Like if you didn't have that I'm not big enough, I'm not ripped enough mentality, you probably wouldn't do the crazy shit it takes to go and stand on a stage.
Yeah, but I mean, I think that happens even on a like more micro level too, because like unless you're doing things to like physically taking your measurements, that's why I said that's like so important. I got a perfect example. I've always felt like I have chicken legs. Mm-hmm. Like, and you know, granted, I don't do a ton of like leg stuff.
Sure.
Like, I don't do big squats and stuff like that. I do sitting leg presses. I do, you know, like, you know, seated leg extensions, stuff like that. Calf raises, and then I do the like elliptical stair climbing like combo thing. Yep. It's one of my main things I do. And sometimes I just do stairs or just the treadmill. But I don't do like, I'm not trying to squat 400 pounds or do anything crazy like that. I've watched too many people fuck up their back. Mm-hmm. I've already had some minor back stuff just from golf and being out of shape and different things like that. And then, you know, probably all the years I played catcher, stuff like that, I'm not going to risk those things. But, you know, I'm sitting just a few weeks ago, my wife's like, holy shit, your legs have gotten huge. And I'm like, really? Because, like, if I see them in the mirror, to me, I've barely done anything with them. But then, like, when I really started thinking about it, I'm like, all right, well, that pair of jeans that I couldn't even fit into 3 months ago, like, I'm back in 34s again. Mm-hmm. And now it's not an issue here, but now, shit, I damn near look like I'm Austin wearing skinny jeans on this one pair of jeans. I'm like, shit, I gotta go get a different, like, jean, because, like, now they're looking like skinny jeans. Like, that ain't gonna work for me. So, in my mind, I haven't done anything, but I'll bet if I was actually taking measurements and stuff, I probably have. You know, and however long it's been since I took those measurements doing with you. So I'm super excited to like check those this weekend now that you're sending me those.
I'll send them to you. As soon as we get done.
So where are you going to take things now? Like where are your programs evolving? What are you looking forward to in 2025?
Great question. So I've done I've hired a bunch of different business coaching consultants throughout all of this, and I found one that I really, really like. He actually runs his own fitness business company that spans the UK, Canada, the US, and he's been fantastic. So one of the things I'm trying to do in 2025 is, from a business point of view, just build more repeatable systems. So, you know, Whiskey Weight Loss is about 3 years old, I think, at this point. It was the end of 2021 was when I launched it, and you know, the first year of business, you have no clue really what you're doing. Especially I was, 26, 27 at that point. Like, young guy, didn't know what I was doing. I was just shouting out into the ether, and no one was shouting back at me. Since then, I think I've had 180, 190 people, something like that, go through the program. So the program is morphed. I'm to the point now where I'm really, really happy with the program itself, and I get really good results with people as well. So now, as a business owner, not just a coach, my goal is having more repeatable systems to bring new people in, to make sure people are taken care of on the long term, right? Client retention and things like that. Helping people refer into the business easier, and things from a business owner point of view. I just want it to become more predictable. Yeah. Because one of the things that worked really well early in my business was that through whiskey groups and, you know, things like you and me connecting, like, I don't even remember where we met, Garrett, do you?
I think it was the
whiskey group, something like that. It was like, that's where a lot of my clients came from. It was chance encounters, it was conversations, and that's great, but it's not particularly scalable. So, like, I'm looking to, instead of bringing in, you know, like, one new person into the program per week, I would love to grow it to where it's 10, 15 clients a month, something like that, to the point where I can bring in assistant coaches and things like that. That's where I'm looking to be at the end of 2025, is just having more scalable systems that allows me to help more people without stretching myself crazy thin.
Do you want to say who the business coach is?
Yeah, if anyone's in fitness, his name's James Goff out of JG Consulting Group. Dude has a fitness business that makes about $200,000 to $300,000 a month in revenue, which in the fitness business is wild. That is just not very common.
Yeah.
And basically what he does from a business coaching perspective, it's like, hey, I have this fitness business that runs itself. This is how we do things. I will teach you to do exactly what we do.
Yeah.
And the wonderful thing is it's not cold outreach. It's not, anything that feels gross. This is how to optimize organic outreach. If you want to run ads, this is how to do it. This is how to get people to know, like, and trust you in the most easy, non-sleazy way possible. And it's just a connection of you identify the person that you help the best, and then how do we find more of those people, and how do we get them to trust you as quickly as possible?
All right. I have 3 for you that
Okay.
you should check out. And we can probably kill 2 birds with 1 stone. And if you want to go next year, because I said I'm going to try to go next year, and this is way more for people like you, but I know a lot of people in this industry, and like I want to go just because some of the people that I know spoke at the last one were at the other event I went to, and I learned phenomenal information from them. One is, are you familiar with Bedros Keuilian?
I'm not.
Look up Bedros Keuilian.
Okay.
Bedros is badass. Bedros does Fit Body Boot Camp.
Okay.
Which is the largest franchise of its kind out there. And he's the original guy from Fit Body Boot Camp. I think you would dig Bedros, his message and stuff. I went to his BK Live in Scottsdale this summer. Amazing. And I wish I could remember some of the other people's names because you would probably know some of them, but that's also where I saw Ali Gilbert speak. And she runs an event that's getting bigger and bigger. And I almost went to it. I wish I had. I could have gotten like a free ticket. It was just airfare, hotel, whatnot.
Yeah.
I could have gone as part of the BK Live thing. But she runs Silverback Mountain. I think you'll dig some of that too, and it might be good stuff you can mix in. The other one, and I'm going to send you a link. I'm going to send you an invite to his newsletter because this is one of my good friends, and I'm actually going to try and go up and see him early next year, is Dr. Sean I'm going to mess up his last name. Pashush. He's going to kill me for this, but or give me shit, one or the other. But he runs Active Life.
Okay.
And he has some amazing stuff, and they're just getting back into their coaching and like doing some of their stuff. He runs an amazing facility up in New York. I think you would vibe with him really, really well. And his is kind of he focuses on the more of being able to work around pain, getting through those things and stuff like that. So I think it'd all be good things you could like.
Yeah, man, I'm always
throw
down
in
for
there. I know
for
you
more
check them
inputs.
out. I've seen
Yeah.
you posting about things you've gone, but like I wanted to share those with you. I meant to send you something a while ago on that, but you just made me think of it when you were talking about
All good, man.
mentor coaching.
All good. Side note, I want to go back to the Big Red Balls thing before anyone gets like the wrong impression. I was doing a charity kickball tournament, and there's a picture of me rolling or pitching these giant kickballs. Like, how big are kickballs supposed to be?
I mean, they have all different sizes, but I mean, these are like a little bigger than a basketball.
Yeah,
Most of them that you see, they're like, I don't know what, like that.
Yeah,
big.
it was.
They're supposed to be about the size of a bowling ball. Normally, a kickball.
Bowling ball. Okay,
Oh,
this
they
A
got
little bit
different
bigger.
ones.
Well, no, a basketball's about right, but
Yeah.
we played with between a bowling ball and a basketball.
It felt bigger than that, and this one was clearly been sat on or something because it was a little compressed this way, so it was kind of like rolling a cheese wheel.
Okay.
Wasn't that when you did your photo shoot, and that's what you have on the ceiling in the bedroom?
That's it. Yes.
I
Yeah.
thought so. Okay.
Dude, there's a lot of stuff.
I just wanted to clarify that for everybody.
A lot of stuff on the
It
ceiling.
was
in the bedroom.
Alex's, not mine.
Passing the blame. Love it. Well,
It's
cool, man.
super impressive, man, because, like, I think it's so... Biz and I were talking about this, like, going back and looking at the analytics of the shows. Your 2 previous shows still rank in the top 10. Like, and you know, it's so funny because like I could wear the whiskey weight loss shirt to the gym or something, and I get like the weirdest looks. Mm-hmm. I mean, and I work out at Lifetime, so I mean, like, I get all different age groups, and I get the weirdest looks. Like, the fuck, and like the trainers are even like looking at me like, and I'm friends with us, and they're like, really, bro? Like, I was like, it's his marketing thing, man. Like, he's invested in these groups, and he teaches you how to do these things. Like, calm down over there.
Shut up, take a drink, and lift these weights.
Yeah.
That's it. People ask me if it's a joke. Like, people have said, like, hey, can I get a T-shirt? Because that's really funny. And I have to explain to them that actually it's a business. But
sure, I'll sell you a T-shirt.
Sure, yeah, 100%. I send them a link. You can buy them at cost. But it's one of those things where when people stop you in the street and ask you about it, you know it's working.
Yeah.
From a marketing point of view. And fitness is, you know, pretty saturated. There's a reason that a lot of fitness people, it's kind of like real estate agents. It's like 80 to 90% of the industry turns over every single year because standing out is really hard.
And people want to find ways to like eat their cake too.
Yeah,
you know, they want to be able to have their cake and eat their cake too. You
I think the problem though, we're stuck in the magic pill though, because Ozempic has been the magic pill.
We do finally have a magic pill.
There's going to be a rebound from that, though. I'm
I'm going to tell you, I was on Ozempic for 2 years.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm so happy my doctor took me, but I am a type 2 diabetic. Mine was for getting my A1C down. If the weight loss thing happened, but they all knew I worked out and did everything. And
well, look how much muscle mass you've put on since you've gotten off of it.
Oh, my God.
Not that you haven't just changed things, but I mean, like, it shows you, like, how much,
yes. I'm going to tell everybody, here's the deal. And even I went to the doctor today before I came here. And, you know, ever since I've been off. And he said, what's the one thing you noticed that just changed? And I'm like, I can go to the bathroom. I'm telling you, men, if you ever want to experience childbirth, get on Ozempic. That's exactly what
take
childbirth
the right amount of fiber
like.
And stuff.
Yeah.
I don't give a shit. I drank all the water, the fiber, and all that. It slows your digestive system down. So when you do finally get to go, you better get some handrails. You better get some soundproofing or whatever, because it's going to be an experience, and you're only going to go once every other week. That shit sucks.
I never had problems like that to that degree. Like,
I don't know how much you were taking, what you were on, but I was on the maximum dosage.
Oh, yeah. It definitely wasn't on like some kind of max dose.
The minute I came off of it, like it got my A1, now it did what it was originally made to do. It got my A1C, like I'm literally on no medicines, no nothing now. So it did that, and I've been able to maintain. But when I came off of it, my body was like, thank you. Yeah. And I was able to do whatever. But I did know, because he said it did combat muscle mass. Mm-hmm. So the minute I got off of it after it's been like 6 months, man, gym gains have been outstanding. It's great. But I will say this. When I got off of it that first month, you could put salt and pepper on a trash can and I'd eat it.
Yeah.
Because it blocks the hunger receptors. Mm-hmm. That shit came back like a tidal wave.
Yeah, you're starving. You're ravenous.
Man, I'm like literally all I'm thinking about is food. I'm working and I'm like, let me go, man. And that was the hardest thing. So that's why I put 10 pounds back on. But now I'm starting to get it back under control.
I think people are going to have to be coached in another way. Like it's going to be a whole nother segment of what he's going to do. Because if you didn't have an Alex like I did before I did that, and then you get those hungers, you're doing all those things, and then you start seeing how fast, I mean, like, man, the 191 back to like 210, that happened in a matter of like 2 weeks.
It happened for me.
And I was still going to the gym.
Yeah.
Like, it wasn't like I changed that much stuff, but like, I had to really quickly like get a grasp and go like, all right, reset. Like, what was I doing before this? Like, what little things did I have to do? All right. Make sure you're cutting out these condiments, watching how much vegetable oil is going on.
But Alex never makes you feel bad. Every time we would have our Monday call, he would, I would almost dread it because it'd be like, okay, shit. I did this, and this. He said, okay, that's okay. So now let's try this. I mean, like, you never made anybody feel bad when you mess up. Or if I said, I had peach cobbler this weekend because my wife made it. He says, okay, was it good? I'm like, yeah. He said, okay, cool. Did you eat a whole bunch? I said, I just had a taste. And he said, okay, well, then you're all right. You know, put a couple extra steps in next week and let's balance it out. Like, you never made anybody, I had no desire. Some people would take advantage of that.
Sure.
Oh, well, shit, yeah. Well, Alex said it's cool. Let me go and add a couple or what. I never felt
Well, he
that
will
way.
get in your ass too. Like, trust me. Like,
Garrett, let's back up on that just for a second. Phrasing is important.
yeah, you
Phrasing
were
is
talking about
important.
big balls.
No,
a
he
minute
doesn't
ago.
do it in a negative way, but it does say, so, here's the results of what if you keep going down that path, you're going to negate all the work you've put in.
Yeah,
and then when you have to take your pictures and send them in, and you're like, okay, I'm in the mirror, like, okay, let me get this right angle here. If I suck it in a little bit there, if I let it loose there.
He's not beating you up.
No, it's
but
encouraging.
He won't beat you up, but he will have the tough conversation with you.
He holds you accountable.
If you repetitively
He holds you accountable.
do something or say you won't do something, like, he will in the best Alex way and make it
I
into
will
a
give
joking
you. I will
manner.
give you the line that I'm not angry. I'm just disappointed.
Yeah.
He'll like motherly slap you around a little bit and like get you back on track, but he'll make his point, and you'll be like, "All right, man." He's like, "Are you still happy? That you've lost, like, you steadily losing a pound a week. You had weeks where you were losing 4 to 6. Like, so you have this goal. Like, is this goal changed for you?" And he'll just like redirect it and point it back out to you. And
I
like,
think the biggest-
kind of let you make up your own mind, but he'll be like, "All right, like, that wasn't the end of the world, but like, hey man, like, is this something you're like going to buck the system on consistently?"
The biggest thing I learned from whiskey
why?
weight loss was accountability. I got like 7 people now with iWatches, and so when everybody finishes a workout, everybody, okay, bet, where you at, man? You ain't hit your workout, you ain't done this, that. Or if everybody's closing their rings every day, but you just keep the accountability. And now the biggest things out of all this, food, exercise, all that, consistency in the habit. Even off the program, I've never left it. I've never done like you do a full body. I went back to my splits a little bit, but I do a full body workout day twice a week. But I still do my splits, but so I don't not miss legs, add in the cardio. But it's the accountability and the consistency, and now it's just habit. I know when I drive, even in the summertime, alarm clock, I still get up every day, 6:30. I still get up, go to the gym. Even when the kids don't have to go to school, I still go.
Yeah.
And it doesn't stop because it is the consistency that gets you to the goal. And when you stop focusing on the goal and focus on the daily process, then the goal just shows up. And
God damn, Biz, you want my job?
No, I learned that shit from you.
No, I know you're repeating it so back. I'm like,
Dude, you don't watch the Biz Daily Motivationals, man? Like, he's
Every day,
on fire.
but every day I do it. It's literally after I get out of the gym, I put my phone on the steering wheel, and I say what's on my mind. But it's literally every day. And if I miss a day, it's not because I didn't go to the gym, because I had to get somewhere. But that's the consistency. And like I said, you notice the goals. You notice, like I said, hitting the 315. That just showed up. Not doing that shit ever again. But you keep on going, and the biggest deal is when somebody that hasn't seen you in a long time, damn, man, you look all right, goal hit. I went shopping for some clothes today. Bam, still ain't got to that 34, but the 36s aren't snug. So I'm not mad at that point. When you can start wearing slim and athletic fit instead of regular.
Yeah.
Because it makes you look all right. Those are the small attaboys that you get, but then you have to okay, cool, whatever, get back to the consistency, or maybe ante it up just a little bit. So let's level up. So I keep a diary every day, and I write. And like today when I was in the gym, I looked at what I was lifting, and I kind of went back by about 4 or 5 weeks, and I'm like, okay, well shit, I need to go, let me add 5-10 more pounds of this, because now this is easy. And you keep on, but the biggest thing is looking back at the diary, not at the numbers, but how many pages I filled up. That's the part that's like dope. I got a book that's like, she's 80 pages in. And I do it every day. I mark it down. You keep it. And it's just the dopamine of filling that book out, putting in the reps,
definitely.
doing all that. So that dopamine is a positive thing. And just keep it going.
Dude, that's awesome. You guys make me so fucking happy.
The shit started when you showed up on that first episode, man, for real. But we didn't know who you was, what it was. We was like, whiskey weight loss, what it is. And then I got a chance to spend time with you on your whiskey side.
Right.
Because I got a chance to do a couple photo shoots with you.
Yep.
And then I did the tasting at your house.
Yeah.
That shit blew my mind.
Well,
I don't even
in
drink.
all honesty, too, like, the first episode, that was more like me kind of vetting him. Like, I hadn't even started your program yet. We were talking about it, and I was planning on it, and I had made plans to, but that was prior to me actually starting the program.
Yeah.
And then you were
And
on
then
it
when
for
you
like
came-
4 weeks, and then I was like, I want in. I want this because I seen your not your results yet. I just seen your motivation. You're eager. Like,
and
I
then,
got
like,
it today.
the second time he was on here was after I completed his program.
Yep.
Yeah, that sounds right.
Roughly thereabout. And then, obviously today, we fall back up.
Going.
Yeah, keep rocking and rolling. All right, before I forget, because we're going to have to wrap this up, and I'm sure Alex will be back here again someday. Like, he's got a running track record here with Common Sense, the podcast. Because, I mean, we're talking about common sense, like, there are coaches and then there are coaches. And it doesn't matter what avenue it is that you're going down. Like, find one that's going to work for you. Find one that can, like, help you with the goals you want to achieve. And find one that, like, looks the part, acts the part, does the part. I mean, are you going to take whiskey weight loss advice from a guy that's sitting over here at 6'2" and 400 pounds? I would hope not. But like, you got to use some common sense.
Would you spend $200 or $300 or $400 or $500 on a plate of food that'll kill you, or would you spend that same amount of money on something that's going to make you better and live longer?
Yeah, and you know what? Let's be realistic too. And like, I'm not going to say this to like say that his program is not expensive enough.
Well, I'm not want to say about money. I'm just saying, just look at life. Anything you have to invest in something.
I mean, he's got scholarship programs he's doing. He's got all kinds of stuff. I mean, like, if you are really there and really wanting to get after it, like, Alex will work with you. And I'm telling you right now, if you go around the Metroplex alone, price out some different programs. And you don't even have to live here in the Metroplex to be a part of his program. I've told some family members this and stuff like that. He can work with you remotely. So, like, you don't have to physically be here to do his program. And if you check this out, like, throughout, like, he is not the cheapest and he is not the most expensive. Like, there is a wide range in this. But what you can see is he has results. And you go on his page or look up his stuff, he has plenty of clients that'll show you. And, I mean, I haven't seen a bad review. I haven't seen somebody that's just bashed you on one of these things. Like, I've seen people that have quit. I've seen people that have fallen off that, like, maybe they got where they wanted. I mean, I didn't keep going with the program. I got where I wanted, and, we're still friends. We still talk. Like, you're here on the show again. So, I mean, I'm just saying, like, you guys need to go out there, do your research. Hit him up if you guys want some results. Like, I promise you he can help you with your mindset. He can show you how to eat. He can show you what not to do. He can show you cheats. He has all these little, like, amazing, like, information booklets, I'm going to call them, that, like, he will send you that have cheats and tricks of the trade.
I've told like 5 different people today, my breakfast this morning was a bagel and cheesecake.
Yeah.
And it's like, that's the kind of shit that we can do when you know how to do it right, and you're looking for the right things. You're looking for certain nutrition ratios and tricks and cheats and everything that Garrett just said. And, like, I tell people there's a bunch of information that I will tell you that you probably don't know. But it's not information that is, like, hidden away in a vault. If you want to go spend enough time on YouTube University, you can probably figure out 80 to 90% of the stuff that I will share with my clients. The difference being is that when you go down the rabbit hole of YouTube University, you get all of the information. The good, the okay, the bad, and the downright dangerous. And the difference about working with a coach, whether it's me or someone else, if you get a coach that knows what they're doing, they've done all that research for you, and they basically give you a shortcut. And that's what coaching is. It's accountability and it's shortcuts to the right information. And for all of my clients, that has been worth the investment so far and will continue to be. And then, for people who keep trying the fad diets and over and over and over again, they go through the cycle and the cycle and the cycle. And 5 years later and a few $1,000s later, they will, if you ask them, like, hey, if you could go back in time and you just do it the right way once for a little bit more money, would you? And every one of them is going to say yes.
I agree with that 100%. So before I forget real quick, for any of you that are still paying attention and want to know what I was smoking tonight. So what I started off with here, I tried something that I didn't think I was going to like, and it was actually pretty good. That is the EP Carrillo 15-year anniversary stick. Most of their stuff is too strong for me. that was still really fucking bold. Like, it was a kick you in the nuts. That's like a Stag Junior that's like 140 proof right
Damn.
there. Like, it's gonna get after you. Like, it's still strong. And then to like round things out, I went to one of my like go-tos, and that's the Luciano Lux Fiat. You know, you guys all know how I feel about Luciano stuff, so no need to elaborate there. And then drinking, we were both having
Woodford
Old Fashions. So
ain't broke,
can't
don't
go.
fix it.
Yeah, it's good stuff. And if you are in the area, come up on Monday evening and vote, because I am the guest drink specialist for Monday night, where they're having a competition here where members can sign up. We create a cocktail, they vote on them, and whoever wins some cool stuff, and your drink goes on the menu.
What's your can you share what your cocktail is?
I can now, because it's happening Monday. So in lieu of the holidays and everything, fire old fashioned. So it will be, to not give it all away, it is a double oaked Woodford Reserve with graham cracker chocolate bitters, and a roasted marshmallow.
That sounds bomb.
And it is pretty badass. So Pennington, look out. I'm going to knock your shit off the mantle come Monday. I'm bringing the heat with this awesome drink, unless I change my mind at the last minute, and I might bring a mixer. I have a buddy that's making some cranberry, like,
marshmallow
bitters. He's
don't
trying to
change it.
talk
Don't
me
change
into it, but I don't think I'm gonna do it. I'm gonna stay with the campfire one, just because, I mean, who doesn't like s'mores and bourbon during the holidays? I mean,
I don't know of a
great
single
combo.
person.
Maybe I need to sprinkle a little more fat and salt in there, and then I'll for sure win.
There you go.
All right, you guys, we have one more episode coming up for you guys next week. We'll see who the mystery guest is going to be, but that will wrap it for 2024. And then Biz and I will be taking a little break through the holidays, but coming back strong in 2025. We're already working on some pretty amazing guests early on in 2025. And stay tuned, because I can now finally talk fully about the music podcast. And we're probably going to release that information next week, sometime during the show. Or I might randomly bring somebody on that might be one of the first artists to perform. I don't know yet. We'll see what works out. But you guys, thank you for joining us. Peace. Have a good one.